Welcome to the Preventive Medicine Podcast. Help us change the paradigm of medicine from keep people alive to help people thrive, one episode at a time. And now, here's the show.
Yeah, because once you exit our little bubble, you realize how many women are still so scared of that. And I'm getting them as clients still, and they just, I don't know why they chose me, you know what I mean? To finally be like, okay, I'm going to do it. But I just feel like I'm like the Mother Teresa of Fitspo, like washed up clients and multi-level marketing victims. And I'm like, come to me, like, let me save you and show you the light and show you how you can train and feel and move in your body. That is just not that same thing over and over and over again. And I think women are getting sick of it, but there's still a lot of them that are scared and misinformed. And like, it's just, you know, you have to just keep pushing that message enough. And like, I just yell it a lot. And I think a lot of people think it's hypocritical that with like obesity rates being so high that I talk about women eating more all the time. And I'm like, regardless of women's body sizes, they're restricting to some degree or trying to restrict yo-yo dieting or crash dieting. I'm like, so even if that, I can say that's important and we should care about and push towards that, but the solution for that isn't telling those women to eat less. It's teaching them actually how to fuel themselves regardless of their shape and the size of their body, and that they need more than like 1,000 calories a day. And like, they have to stop that cycle. It's like, it doesn't matter where they're at in their fitness journey. They still need to eat appropriately and fuel themselves appropriately, because then it makes all those other goals in long-term health better. If they're not fueling appropriately, regardless of like what you think about body weight or body fat percentage or any of that stuff, like they're still going to have metabolic risks down the line, irregardless.
So kind of just to kind of piggyback off that question, I know you do specialize kind of, or kind of your niche is more towards training women, but it's actually kind of funny because I sought you out to train me for my marathon.
Yes.
I think one of the
Not
things
just any marathon, ultra marathon.
Both.
Well, it actually started out it started out as a regular marathon. And now
Right.
it just keeps getting, the distance just keeps going further and further. Eventually I'm just going to.
For anyone, their next race is 100 kilometers for anyone who's listening to this. So not me, them.
Yeah, which is, I think included in that is like 32,000 feet of elevation change. So
Absolutely
we're literally going to be, not a big deal.
Not a big deal. I'm not terrified. It's fine.
But no, I think one of the things that I guess a question I had kind of off of that is, do you think it's hard? Do you think it's a struggle for you trying to, like this is what you specialize in, but you also, it's not like you're limited to only training women. You find that being an issue of like people not reaching out to you because like, oh, she trains women. I can't go to her for, marathon or lifting advice. How do you kind of combat that?
So the reason I niched in with women is one, it was just the people responding to my message. And this isn't meant to like, if you're a dude listening to this isn't me trying to like belittle you, but the only men to come to me for exercise or fitness advice or who follow me are not, I don't know how to put this, like, they're not threatened. Their masculinity isn't threatened by coming to me. So you don't feel insecure for taking marathon advice from me because you're like, oh, Alyssa, like she's getting her PhD in exercise physiology and she runs ultramarathons. Like she can help me. She can do this. She specializes in this. But a lot of Gen Pop dudes aren't following me just because I just don't think that my message and my approach fits them, or they're just going to feel more comfortable going to a dude who's doing what they want to do. And that there's nothing wrong with that, right? Wanting people who've done your own thing. So I do get like every once in a while, I'll get some guys who ask me for fitness advice and guidance, but I just kind of learned really early on that the people being the most receptive to my message were women. And it was really easy for me from a business and marketing standpoint to just lean into that, because people have asked me, because I don't program women really any differently than like I would dudes. Like I'm giving them compound movements and really simple resistance training programs. And like you're running our race training program that I'm going to make for both of us is really going to probably be we train very similarly.
Yeah, I was going to say, we probably have a really similar training style already. So
yeah, so it's not that different. It's just a lot easier for me to get women to buy into what I'm doing, unless like you just didn't care. You're like, oh, okay, like she specializes in this, like I'll go to her. And so it was just really easy for like, I feel like you to do it. And it was like a normal adult conversation when we talked about training and coaching, where I just don't think it's very logical. Yeah. It's very logical, where I just don't think a lot of guys want to come to me for coaching or training. I've had some dudes do my LittleLys method programs. And when I first started early on, I had a couple guys do them and they got really strong and their fitness improved, but it was just way more women. So it just kind of, I took that as a note of like, okay, well, what are the dudes that are following me? And most of them they're pretty much guys pursuing advanced degrees that follow me because they respect my science or like my message, or they, you know what I mean? And they're either not coming to me for training, you know what I mean? Besides you, they're not coming to, they're not my potential customer. So I just kind of just stopped trying to like rope dudes into it. It just kind of became a pivot point for me. So yeah, that's
super, super smart business decision. You got to make sure you find your niche. So that's great. We're a little over an hour. I think we're an hour and 15 minutes into this.
Oh, okay.
I know we could probably talk for like another hour, hour and a half, but maybe for the sake of the listeners, we should start to table this down, because I don't know anyone who could sit there and listen to this for an hour and a half.
I listen to my podcast on my runs, so those are always longer.
But people are not running an hour and a half to 2 hours out here.
No, they're not.
So I think, Jason, if you're fine with it, just for one last question.
Yeah.
That do you have it, or I kind of want the last question, kind of like the elevator pitch of if someone asks you, how do you get healthy? If they run into you in like an elevator in a coffee shop and you have 2 minutes, what do you tell them?
Eat a vegetable and move your body at least 3 days a week.
There you go.
Simple. Yeah.
Really simple.
All right.
The minimum.
And then I just wanted to give you a chance, Alyssa. I know if you're on Instagram, guys, listen to this. Her @ is LittleLys Fitness.
It'll all be up on the screen whenever I edit this on YouTube, and then for whoever's listening to this, then we'll put it in the show notes, or check out the website and you can be on there.
And then any last thing you want to plug, Alyssa? Any projects you're working on? I know you have a podcast yourself coming up.
It's a secret, so if people hear this, they're gonna know. So I am in the process.
I can take that out if you want.
We can edit it out.
It's totally okay. I'll spill the beans here, and so anyone who listens to this for the full hour and 15.
This is an exclusive.
Yeah,
this
is the exclusive announcement, I guess. So me and my friend Kate, she's also getting her PhD in exercise psychology in the same department with me. We are starting our podcast, The Messy Middle. So it fits in with the conversation that you were talking about. So you want to give more voice to those, like the middle area, the gray of fitness and wellness and what that actually looks like, and giving more of a voice to the people who kind of fall into that or aren't those on those polarizing extremes, and then just our own narratives on health and fitness and stuff like that. So I have no idea when that's coming. Probably this summer sometime. We still have to we just are setting forth those steps right now. So you guys are hearing this. Kate, sorry, I spilled the beans. But for everything else, my website is littlelysfitness.com, and you can find absolute everything on there. And I know me and Jason talked a little bit about running, and I talked about my strength training program. So I have the LittleLys method, which are progressive, never ending until you end it. I like to call it the last strength program you need, because I want women to say, hey, I don't need you anymore. I can do this on my own. That's my goal with those programs. Mm-hmm. And then I have my running e-book, Endure, that actually has 5K to marathon distance running programs with the science behind training and adaptation for people who are trying to actually run that first race and maybe want to combine strength and training together, and don't really know how to do that. So that's usually where I reference people to those are my most popular products that I have for training and coaching. So everything else though, LittleLys Fitness across the board, everywhere you can find me. So.
All right. Thank you very much for being on the podcast, for sharing your knowledge, your expertise. And I think we likely might have you on again, just because conversation is fantastic and there's still a lot to discuss, a lot to learn.
Always more to say.
Always more to say.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Preventive medicine is an incredibly important topic. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. For the full episode, find us on your favorite podcast streaming platform. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it to keep that message spreading. Thank you once again for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.